Eskrima, the indigenous fighting art of the Philippine Islands, also known as Arnis or Cali. It is one of the fastest and deadliest martial arts in the world. Although commonly perceived as a stick fighting art, it is just one component of a complete fighting system. It includes a mastery of short and long-bladed weapons, as well as a variety of empty-hand techniques. The spiritual home of this Filipino fighting art is the island of Cebu. Located in the center of the Philippine archipelago, Cebu has been a trading center and a confluence of cultures since ancient times. Cebu is also home to some of the greatest Eskrima masters in the world. The history of Eskrima in Cebu began in the 13th century when the Srivijayan Empire from Java ruled most of Southeast Asia. They were overthrown by the Majapahit Empire from Eastern Java and were forced to flee north to the Philippine Islands. The Srivijayan refugees settled in the central part of the archipelago in what is now known as the Visayan Islands. The Srivijayans were a warrior culture and were said to have brought the technology of forged blades to the islands. When the Spanish came in the 16th century, these Visayan warriors were already practicing a systemized form of warfare against other tribes. In April 27, 1521, Spanish explorer Ferdinand Magellan met his demise at the hands of these Visayan warriors in the Battle of Mactan. The Spanish returned in greater numbers and with the aid of superior technology, eventually subjugated the islands. After 300 years of Spanish colonial rule, there was a growing fear of rebellion. The Spanish prohibit the Filipinos from practicing Eskrima. The Eskrima masters went underground and began training in secret, using sticks, bolos, and knives, since they are readily available to civilians. Eskrimadors soon made stick fighting an art form unto itself. No longer limited to blade-based linear strikes, the emphasis was now on speed and accuracy. Using the stick, meant that attacks could come from more angles and at closer ranges.
Traditional linear is when you strike, it's like a blade. It's a blade pattern strikes, eh? It's like a blade. While the snap wrist, the flicking strike, curving strike is, abanico is part of them. This witik, curving strike. The advantage of this is even if he blocks the strike, it still circles around the defense. Hits it. He blocked the strike, it circles around the defense.
Nanay yung napita, igong ko na. Bisay kung sama ba niya, maigong na siya na. Igo. Pagana. Igo. Pagana ko, guko siya. Igo. Pagana ko, iguko siya. Igo gapon.
Too dangerous to attempt with bladed weapons, Eskrimadors could now perform disarming maneuvers, of which they have an endless repertoire.
So ang bahito na ko yun eh, nagbunol ako gurita-gurita na, bukuli ako, ba't pa ako? Ano ko?
Iyan ang kuhaon. Kuha ako muna. Kuha sa rin ko.
In the early days, each tribe or clan practiced its own system of eskrima. These were closely guarded secrets, which were passed on from one generation to the next.
Ang akong uyuan na si Arsenio Camurnay, mautoy Eskrimador, wa pa nga linig lapunti, wa pa to sayngan, eskrima lang. Ana, hangtod nga, nakato na akong amahan, tinuluan sa akong tuan, akong uyuan.
My grandfather and his brothers been practicing the art since 1890.
Watch how they hit with his cane, using the single and double slashes or the half slash.
Kung sa eskrima tayo siya, abaniko ni. Ana raman akong buwan niya, kumaypay. Ana. Akong gidibilog tayo, mo may gidasa akong amahan. Since nga, pagkahibaw din akong eskrima,
Cañetes, my father, they learned, nakat-on sila from my father and my uncles and from other masters. But when they meet with the Sabidras, they found the two Sabidras to have very good techniques. That their Eskrima was superior. They adopted the Cañetes as their first, among their first few students.
Kaming 8 brothers, akong 7 brothers, involved sa Eskrima. O nga, di ba sila gusto mabiyahin ko? Yapig ko din na. O nga, sa silang practice, tuwa, kuyo ko. O. Gulo ng mga apoy sa mga eskrimadors, mga master, tuwa ko dito. Lalo mang ko sa umagwang.
Kato akong papa, pwede mo ito ibalin ni ang gurute sa left. Nakusgan mo to akong papa. Ya kay eskwela man po si Idiux Muni, akong mga manghod. Eskwela man po sila po. So, ako gi primero, ako gi bidibades kong amahan yun.
ako papa, athlete siya, gusto niya sa mga martial arts. Before nga, noon, nana sa iyang amahan, nana sila mga dumbbell at una. Kaya, magbiyahe man siya, ato mga laylay lugar, si Kihor, abot siya mga Bicol, mga isla-isla. Katong sa mga eskrima, daghang kayo mga eskrima. Tawag yung sombra, sukiti, sombra mo nang magpayong kayo. Sombra means shadow. Karo ano payong.
Ang show sa mga eskrimador. Ang show sa mga eskrimador. Plasa mo dugo.
easy because you can just use this. When you punch the other side, and block, and then right it back.
Di ko man napugngan. Kaya malubag man ko. So yung tanaw niya kuha niya, buhian ko na. So kawat ko siya ha. So muna ni kawat na. So na. Counter siya, ni counter niya, ingon ko.
So bago ka na ko siya. Ito ko na judo ko sumbag siya papa. Mag-hatan.
Magana niya. Tanaw sitwasyon hopeless no. Hamong flow niya padong dire. So flow na ko padong sa dire, padong sa dire.
Paso mo. Balik ko mo. Balik mo.
Tama flow na ko. Di ko siya mo against na ko dire. Kaya kung gana ko against siya, against. At against, tuyok sa kumag to. Mubag na siya dire.
After the American regime was established in Cebu, the Americans encouraged the Filipinos to practice the right. So everybody, all masters, grandmasters, they came out in the open, and that's how they started. So in 1920, with the Sabidra uncle and nephew, they led the group of Eskrimadors. They formed the first ever martial art club in the Philippines, itong Labangon Fencing Club. Labangon Fencing Club disbanded in 1930. Then 12 masters revived. Spearheaded by my father, they formed Dusi Paris.
Pagkatukod sa disipare, gibuhato nila para nga walay rivalry. Lain-lain ko pareho lain na club la. Isig daot, sige mayo niya mo. Ato hinay nga, ato ni we have to unify all clubs to avoid rivalry.
It seems the idea came spontaneously.
They called Dusi Paris the best the name on the 12 fighting bodyguard of Emperor Charlemagne of France. Each member has his own style, teaching his own style. They have this larga mano, others media largo, medium range, others corto. In corto, they have different styles. And there were masters who were only good in intihads. There were masters who were good only in knife fighting. And there were who specialized only in long blade or bolo fighting.
The perennially secretive masters now shared their techniques with one another. This exchange of ideas brought the fighting art of Eskrima to another level. Grandmaster Filimon Momoy Cañete was perhaps the most respected Eskrimador of his era. He served as the chief instructor and guiding figure of Doce Pares until his death in 1995.
Mamuti kugihan sa mga namubase. Mamuti lang yung intag sima. Nadami tanan. Kasi may apil mo na ni. May mo odds na mo. Inspire mo. Apil mo na kay Mane para sa prepare. Mo sa kami hukom sa tanan.
Watch closely now the various movements of Professor Filimon Cañete. They're using a wooden dagger for practice.
Si Momoy Cañete, kung panahon na ito niya, mo ito siya most popular sa armies o sa Eskrima. Pero ang iya yung most popular yun niyang yung system, kanag yung espada idaga. Sword with niya katong iyang bullwhip na tiguba. Niya ang iyang system gitawag niya Arnis Eskrima San Miguel.
Light fighting and paint fighting. is an advanced type. Watch closely now.
Momoy, as a leader, is very, very honest. Especially to his boys. He cares for his boys.
Kung gusto siya pinaka-maayo yun bisag sa unsang paagid, combat, arnis, kuan siya, spari daga, mo gito siya noon yun kayo.
Black and fire of Professor Cañete. There's the strike, double strike, and the hook. He was trying to cut the professor's head, Garote, but look what happened.
In the olden days, Eskrimadors were known to be healers as well. They believed in charms and amulets known as anting-anting and the orasyon, a spoken prayer.
Mga 90% sa mga Eskrimador na ito doon ay words of power.
Agatos tatay na ito yung orasyon siya, pati pagpanambal. Dito sa mga G, ano sa'yo papila nga yung itamdan ba? Ito, isuot niya mga party pagpanambal.
Tapos Papa, he is not an ordinary person. He possesses also a talisman. He is a talisman. Doon natin siya anting-anting. Until his death, iyan ang gida. That is why dito siya ordinary ng tao para na ko asisan. Kapila natin siya masuway nga tirahan ng armas wa kabuto. Oo, ni fail. Agad isang to ba? Doon na dito siya protection ba?
Kini muna gitawag nga habak or amulet sa English or anting-anting. Ang unang tawag ni habak kay ani ibakos mo niya di sa hawak. Mabuhat ni doon na may kusog. Una makusgan ka. Ikaduha maabti ka. Ikatulod di ka maigo. Gumigo ka mga di ka sakitan.
Sword ni, shield ni. Sword ni, shield ni.
Checking is to monitor, control, blank your attacking weapon with your free hand. When you strike, black, there's always a checking hand.
May mo agdo na po dire. Kay naaman ni siya pirme. Bisag piyongan pa rin ako, bisag asap sa dagat. May bawang yan mo kay basing on senses sa mundo.
Any object nga mo pakgam sa akong pamatay nga kamot. Mao ni mo dispanta.
Okay, this is how I check. I check you there doing what you feel. Where you go next? Down. You know why he goes down? You know why he goes down? Because I influence his brain to go down. Why? Because of my check. Look at how I conduct the check. This little finger make him feel that there is resistance. Pull back a little. See? There is resistance. You go up. There is resistance. What is an area no resistance? That is where I want him to go. That is the area apparently open for target.
May mo blafo na ko siya pag muna niya. Mana ko. Hindi makatag. Buko siya. Pukto ako pirmi. Always may na-pirmi. Kaya kung mabante siya, mingo siya. Ano no? Na-pirmi.
So when I do like this, I check. Automatically he knows. There is resistance. There is no resistance. When he goes near to it, no. Because my check just turn to the felon. He cannot see. Go down. But there is no resistance here. So when he goes like that, when he attack here, no. I can just do it. In 1948, 1949, 1950, up to 1952, those Paris was rocked by a lot of intrigues and jealousies. Not only among masters, not so much. It was among the followers of the different masters. Each were trying to outdo each other, that my master style better than yours. The group mainly against each other were the group of Grandmaster Ansyong Bakon and the group of Grandmaster, my uncle, Kakoy Cañete. And there were other groups, minor groups, but these two groups were just, they really hated each other too much jealousy.
Grandmaster Venancio, Ansyong Bakon, a former pupil of Lorenzo Saavedra, was considered one of the best Eskrimadors in the Doce Pares Club. His skill won him many followers. Among them were Delfin Lopez and Timoteo Maranga, members of the Cebu City Police Force, who were known as formidable fighters.
Katot Delfin Lopez lang, dako kay to. Si Maranga, dako kay to. Yung anong nagpatuon man niya, Arnes.
Pag Antonio, pagkakita niya ang Anso, piting gamay sa, mo niya sa to, gamay na, sayo na ibunal, kay para niya, kamao mo sa, sayo na ibunal, gamay na. Sus, pagkasuway na sa guli, kaliso na, maraming bakas eh.
Bago siya inborn talent ba nga, dali siya makareact sa mga pinagis mga bunal, daghan sa di suway bunal, pati na mga dipinsa, dali siya makareact. Nga iya sa iyang kaguling kong pamaagi.
Mas snappy, tiguwang siya nga di kakakuan sa iyang edad nga, iyang lihik mo binama. Snappy niya, mugbo kayo. Niya kalit isa na gagmay kay likay dili lagi dili gamay di isa na likay ya maglikay pero magsunod ang iyang attack na ba.
One time, Ansyong Bakon, dunay nanghagad ni Ansyong Bakon. Kalau diris talisa ito giduwa. Dua ka buk grote, maragog sungkod god. Pagbunal, nilihay sa Ansyong Bakon. Oto pag-igo, pagsunod bunal, pagkaduha may grote niya, tag-as Pakistanan. Isagang Ansyong Bakon. Muin man kita. Pagkadabak! Kung ako sa diri, gisin sa dagan god.
Early 1952, Bakon got out of Doce Pares with Lopez, Maranga in tow, then they put up there on top, Balintawa.
Named after the downtown side street, where they held practice sessions, Ansyong Bakon and his followers developed the Balintawak style of eskrima.
Kendo si pero siya nato, duha man ka garote, amara ana. Hangtod nga garote og hanting. Puntay daga. Yung una-unang Ansyong nga, mita ko glain ini ay. Mag-imbento ko glain mo to nga one stick na lang.
Balintawak fighters favored a brutal and efficient close-quarter fighting style, more suitable to their urban environment.
Ya, kini siya, ipukpok ni, diri pukpok, bunal ni, sumbag ni, siko ni. Kini siya, mga oras na ni. Managpa na, mupus and pull na. Kini musiko na ni siya. Mauna ang giimbento ni Ansyong.
An intense rivalry soon formed between the Doce Pares and Balintawak clubs. They began to pit their most able fighters against each other in no-holds-barred challenge fights.
They call it the Hoy Todo or death matches because every time you spar, it's like a duel. You know, no headgear, no protector, and it's full contact fighting.
Dueling was a long-standing tradition for Eskrimadors. When there were no wars to fight or conflicts to settle, they would seek out one another to test their skill. It was a common practice for the duelists to sign injury waivers before they fought. Severe injuries and even deaths were known to have occurred.
Oh, sabot to siya nga. Ipilitan kita duha, magsabot nga magduwa ta. Ana, pero surrender lang ugi kagwanta.
Kung sabay credit ana ba? Kung sabay ka niya, may taging una kay kwarta, gid nga lagi ma, dungog ra.
Mas mayo pa na nako. Saya na to.
Gidungo ka sa talibon na tuong ka. Tanaw ka.
You're not Eskrimadors. You're not willing to fight. Nana mo na.
This dueling tradition was brought to Hawaii and California by Filipino migrant workers as far back as the 1920s.
Eskrima stylists, all the masters before, they were just satisfied if they can beat their opponents in deathmatch. Juego todo.
Grandmaster Inting Karen of Doce Pares was a reputed veteran of numerous Juego Todo matches. In one famous incident, Inting Karen was attacked by 4 knife-wielding assailants and survived.
Incident ato, ang iyang kumparinting Moros while the ongoing ng pista sa Mabulo, minus papa to sa knife fighting. Pati yung amigo, sa panguha og sugat. Igupod to sa mga parinte sa tag-iya sa mga tindahan. Paggupod na, niagi niya, di pag-agi niya lain man to, kay mutabot siya man eh. Pagunsa man eh, ni Silo yung amigo, siya may gatubang, niya naamtoy dang knife permit. Upat, doon ka, tapit, kamog. Dinala siya bangko luyo, bangko iba, bangko sa unang nga sulit good. Igo siya nga rin mo tumba siya, pag tumba niya, tiwasan ko siya. Yung snap, hansak siya, antod. Pass out, siya kay, kung ba naman siya, katong yung kuha nila, pass out siya. Nida siya mortgage, while ready for operation na siya, paibaw na ang mga kuha, na may radyo sa unang paibaw na. Niyagi na hiling, kanyete, papa ni ko, saan na? Sinting Karen, o nagihaya na dia. Yan, gisulod. Init pa man, doon na po may signs of life. So, init pa man eh. Ang suway nga ito, gita. Itong pangag tubig sa papa, nirakaber siya.
In the main streets of Cebu, the knife is the most common weapon. Eskrima knife fighting techniques are considered some of the best in the world.
Among gabi, isusuhan ako. Dua ka ganit, dua ka gunit. Kini, o kini. Ya. Doon namin, kibalik doon si katarget. Ano yan? 1, 2, 3, 4. Pag-abot sa 5, i-change na mo. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Good.
So pag sumbaga na niya, pansin na siya dito. Pag pansin na niya dire ayaw na. Sud ang kamot. Kuno.
Cross. Kay pagduot niya, ana ni. Gunit siya dito ni. Oh.
Kung kaya ni mo ang pilsa sa usan niya kamot, pwede kanira yung tangkamon, i-twist lang yung kamot niya. Padong sa babaw.
Na dire. Pak ni siya. Balik. Na diyon.
Ang uban mo naman. Punya, dako kayo diferensya. Kay kini og lupi ka diyan na. Pigo na ang amo dire. Diha.
Dire. Hakot na ni siya.
Unlike the Chinese and Japanese martial arts, which were originated and practiced by monks and nobility, Eskrima comes from more humble origins.
Kaya Eskrimador God was known to be the art of the poor people. Was known to be the art of the bum. Because some members of the Paris, they were criminal element side. Because they come from the very poor segment of society. Those Paris was just based in San Nicolas, in Pasir district, for many years.
The Pasil San Nicolas district of Cebu was a known breeding ground for many famous Eskrimadors.
Kining area labi na sumuas Pasil, daghan ang mga tawo mo notorious kay diha. Kagadong nagtrabaho na spear, nagtrabaho na sa isdaan. Ang ilang usog rin may puhunan nila. Kaya kung doon ay mga labi na ng union, sila ikuhaon, either himon lang sa striker o himon sa scab. Ngayon na ang life diya. Ngayon notorious nga number 1 notorious sa Cebu, ang Pasil. Diya ako nagdako.
The image of an Eskrimador was that of a gunfighter, willing to accept any challenge simply for bragging rights.
Mo bitaw ni ang kaniblen tawag. Basta once nga makadungog nga dauton ang among ngan, adto rin ni ngadto. Ana pangitaon rin na mo. Bukal ba kay dugo god nga tanon bugod. Kami ako, Dr. Marapaw, Winnie De La Rosa, akong mangot si Ide, si Muni, Mio De La Rosa. Mo ko ito'y fighter gyud. Ang katulang kang Dr. Marapaw, doon naman siya mga lodgers. Pagtawag na sa telepono, bungkag laging practice club. Kaya doon namin ang hagis. Nangadto gyud mga tanan. Oh, why gyud ko.
In the early 1970s, Filipino martial arts began emerging into the consciousness of the martial arts world. Doce Pares was invited to perform a series of demonstrations in the United States.
Yun ay primero dito. Onya kami sunod, tumitakoy. Bodo Pista, kami sunod. We arrived in America in early 75. Gipademonstrate ko nila diya sa, this is documented by Los Angeles, in the school of Dano Santo, group of Muslim. Filipino Kali Academy. Pabot ko to, so, sila, what's your style? I don't know, what do you mean by style? Huwag doon may kalimutan na ito sa style, Doce Pares. Dito naman sila, we just call your style Doce Pares style. Dito na, makindong style kayo. Here, we identify pa rin. Uncle Kakoy, he uses Corto Corbada. Witik-witik. Momoy is San Miguel style, ng Cortorina. My father's Largamano. Kaya kung papa, long range man. So we identify it by personality.
Pag ato na mo, the demand quicken.
Kinusin ko sa paredada, knife, blade. Said, you're surprised. You practically know everything. I said, don't know. That's what we're doing back home. Para mo ordinaryo man. To them, they're surprised kay dito good. Kurto ka dito. Ragamano ka dito. Kami kay kanan man.
The art spread fast. Tungod kay bago para sa mga tao, they talk to it.
Butong winakin ba, akong inanan sila. The best way to promote an art is to make it into sporting event. It's like boxing, they have sports, football, basketball. But how can we? When every time we spar, we kill each other. No parents in the right mind will allow their kids to study with us when they know a week later somebody will challenge him to a fight. We want to reach out to all corners of the world. We have to band together, civilized ourselves, civilized our way of sparring. That's the only way. So I formed a committee to draft the tournament rules in Cebu Eskrimadors. When we have the rules, we cannot fight because we don't have equipment. So I designed the headgear, the kettle, the gloves, everything. I designed 1976. My gears were so thin, not too amply protected. The body gear was only to here. And sometimes they fight without gloves. I put in some gloves there, but some fighters, they're not used to it, they forgot. They fight, oh, I have no gloves, stop. When we started holding these formal tournaments, Coliseum was always full because people thought that we're out to kill each other.
Pag championship ko, mga tao ko, nanagod sa ringside. Layo naman to, ng lingkod, wala na. Puno ang Coliseum.
People thought it was just like the old Goy Gotudo, it matches. No, but they found it out that we have gears. We have protected gears.
After the first national tournaments were held, Eskrimadors gradually shifted their focus from death matches towards organized competition. The bitter rivalries, which marked the age of Juego Todo, were coming to an end. The World Eskrimadors Arnis Federation, the largest governing body for the promotion of Filipino martial arts through sports, holds the World Championships biennially, with every second championship returning to Cebu. The fighting art of Eskrima is now practiced all over the world.
My name is Heather Turnbull and I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Kim André Murdal from Norway. Ferenc Danko from Hungary.
Sarah Charles, I'm from Great Britain.
Justin Lemke, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA.
Andrea Citarelli, and from Italy.
I started when I was about 14 doing Eskrima, and I just fell in love with it. I started, it was the school I started at, did karate, and then once I got my coordination up, I started doing Eskrima, and I felt like it was just a whole other world of new things that opened up to me.
It's exciting, it looked fun. Because I do a multi-system, it means I can do all sorts of things. It's not just stick fighting, I do some knife work, you know, some empty hands. There's a lot to learn, and you don't have to be good at everything.
In Eskrima we can have everything. The really fighting techniques, or just the coordination, or just having fun.
Perché è una disciplina marziale particolarmente interessante per la difesa personale ed è uno sport nuovo nel panorama marziale.
It's adrenaline. Once you learn and understand Filipino martial arts, it's very universal. It's an art within an art.
You look for technique as well as combinations, equally blocking or defending. It looks like they're just pounding away at people, but there are blocking patterns, drills. Using abanico, which is higher strikes, lower footwork, you should be moving offline. If they're pounding away, it's very, very difficult to see the number of points, but essentially it's not just how hard you hit, but how many hits that you get in.
When I think of Filipino Eskrima, I look to the Filipinos as leading the way, and I've been really impressed. Yeah, I think because they're taught to pick up a stick from so high, you know, it's just natural. It's just something that comes naturally to them. It's inbred, you know. They're very fast with their hands.
Oh, every Filipino fighter is very, very, very good. They are very quick, very strong. They fight from the heart. It's really, really good.
Our guru or head coach came to the Philippines to train with many of the grandmasters, and so we were inspired this time to come earlier. So for us, this is an opportunity to come back to the home of our niece and learn from the best. But you'll see from the results here that the Canadians and many other countries are now beating some of the Filipinos.
There might be a technological transfer there from us to America, because Americans and the Europeans, when they train hard.
If you want to get anywhere here, you really have to learn. I mean, you really have to work at it. We don't necessarily have to do that back home, because our people in school, they go, 7-8 hours a day and, homework, and that's it. Then they go play basketball, play baseball, go to martial arts schools, do other things. We have time to do that. Whereas here, Filipinos, just in education, they have to devote a large percentage of their growing up just to education. They don't have the time to devote to martial arts studies.
Once the foreigner learn the Filipino martial art, they do it 24/7. With us, I know life. I grew up here in Manila. I know it's hard to focus on martial art.
There are a lot of people in the Philippine martial arts, Filipinos that have migrated, people from Filipino families that migrated and then they were born later, other countries, Filipinos that have left and gone, and started teaching in other countries. I think there's a lot of people who have had a chance to catch up and pass a lot of people that are still stuck here, because we have more opportunity to train and practice at home. Weather conditions, nutrition is better, people have a chance to be a little healthier. We have a lot more advantages for people to learn.
Eskrima is still spreading far and wide. It is still spreading far and wide. Ang kuan lang, ang tournament lang, dire, sa Cebu, sa atong nakita lang, di na kayo intense ang competition. But it is spreading far and wide.
Mas popular karon dit sa abroad, dili diri sa ato. Ngari sa ato is not popular anymore.
Ang mga second generation na mga interest. Monta ni kay ko nga di ni maayo nagkanamo kawag tama mas ni kuyana pa ang mga foreign arts martial arts kaysa eskrima. Ang eskrima suppose ato kita nang amumahon ba kay ato agunigon. Dili guniingon nga sa lain kitay nagbugnaan ang Pilipino. Noon sa gawas nga ato agin Ya ato ini nga mumahon ta nya. Wa may interest ang mga tao.
Kung way maning kamot ini, way barog ini pag promote kining atong gugma sa atong awareness, sa atong Filipino Martial, mamatay na siguro yung kamatayon kay mawara man.
This is the best time. If they have not recognized the significance, the beauty of the art, it is high time for them to realize now.
Kaning mga Eskrimadors nga akong ilan nga kunan ako, karon ako mo nimo sila mga unsung hero sa atong nasyon, sa atong Pilipinas. Eh kung wa pa na sila dili ni mailan ni Pilipinas nga may laki sila sa martial art.
Me and my brothers were called that we were born with the stick in our hand. So it's part of my life.
Ako nga, masir na ko sa ang nahibawaan ako ngadto sa mga katawhan nga pamagi ilang kuanon ba makatabang pud silang kugalingon parte sa depensa nya makaunahon na sila na kuha na ko nga mo ni gatudlo na ko mo ni ana.
Ini dahil sa mundo ko, di ko kapulat. Ang sukaron di mo pulang Eskrima, para na ko, part of my life. Why retire ni? Ha? Masa pag-retire mo, di ko na i-retire? Di ko na i-retire, di ka ka-retire.
Bisan pa mong tanaw ko nilaw niya, maabot na panahon, dili na sila mo angkon ako nagtudlo niya na, pero sa hilom sa kasing-kasing nalipay ko, ngay ila ginagamit. Hindi na kalimutan ako nagtudlo na.
sugilanon sa atong mga igsuon. Ang kagubot o pagmahal tungod kay gisalikway. Yabu gaya, ayan ang tugaya, ayan ang tugaya. Panagiusap ang kinahanglan, ang sambit sa kahitasan. Panagiusap ang kinahanglan, ang sambit sa kahitasan. Sa atong katiliman ang uban gibi